morning, and welcome to the Compass Ecosystem Podcast. My name is Carolyn Gorst, and I am the Director of Development here at Compass Affordable Housing. I'm really excited to again be joined by my fantastic co-host, Lydia Aranda. Hi, Lydia.
Good morning, Carolyn. Nice to be here again.
It is. It's been a quite an interesting weekend and good weather, so let's hope it continues. Uh, Today's podcast is brought to us by Tucson Electric Power. Thank you, Tucson Electric Power, for building a brighter tomorrow for all of the people in Arizona and Tucson. The purpose of the Compass Ecosystem podcast is to inform, engage, and to connect the Southern Arizona community in dialogue about its human development ecosystem. And today we have a great guest with us who I think really the work that their organization is doing really exemplifies what it means to have an interconnected human development ecosystem in Southern Arizona. Help me welcome our guest from the Haven, Emilia Honkasaari. Hi, Emilia.
Hi, Carolyn. Thank you for having me.
We're,
Good morning, Emelia.
Hi, good morning.
we're very excited to have you here, Emilia. I'd like for our viewers to get an idea of who the Haven is, what they are doing, the issues you're addressing, the audience you serve, and some of the outcomes that you are seeing happen.
Oh, Haven is a very unique nonprofit. We have been serving women in Southern Arizona for 56 years, so a long time, and we help women heal from substance use disorders. That's our main focus. And by healing women, we really heal generational trauma and generational addiction. So our work is not focused on just the individual who comes to the Haven, but it really ripple effects through the community, through their children and families and the community at large. Our focus has always been on women. That's how the organization was founded in 1970. 1970, yeah, that's correct number. And it was by women in recovery because they felt like there are no organizations that serve women in recovery. So they saw a lack for that sort of services, and that's why they created the Haven. And that has been the mission ever since. The organization has grown a lot, and it has become more grown from the kind of peer-led small community to a more professional, evidence-based, trauma-informed organization it is today. We serve about 500 women a year through our different programs. We have a residential program and an intensive outpatient program and an outpatient program, so 3 different levels of care. And we see over 500 women through those programs. And it's all about recovery and learning to love yourself again and learning healthy boundaries and learning living skills and just kind of the women becoming the people they've always wanted to be, but that substance use has sort of taken them on a different path. So it's just refinding themselves again and learning to re-love themselves again.
I love that. Can you tell a little bit? I think for some of our viewers that may not know, what does it mean? The term in recovery, that
Mhm.
has such a broad meaning. Can you go into a little bit of detail? Is that 500 women that are going through, that are coming out of addiction? Is it just
Yeah.
one type of service?
Yeah, so it's last year we served 515 women through those different programs that I mentioned. And being in recovery, it's really being in recovery from substances. So that might be alcohol, it could be fentanyl, it could be methamphetamine. We treat all kinds of different substances. In Tucson and Southern Arizona, we really see opioids and methamphetamines are the main reasons why people seek treatment. But alcohol is always, it's the, tried and true. It's always women can come to the Haven just for alcohol use disorder as well. And when they are in recovery, they stop using the substance, but then also kind of all the other different things that might come with substance use. So substance use is not really a thing that just happens in isolation. It is often related to trauma. It's related to generational trauma. 70% of our members have experienced childhood abuse and neglect. So that really where a lot of the substance use stems from. A lot of them have experienced homelessness. A lot of them are involved with the legal system. A lot of them are food insecure. So there's all kinds of things that come with substance use. And then it's really, you could like some people say, like just stopping the substances, like why don't women just stop using substances and that's it? They're cured, they're better, they're healed. But that's really not what it is about. It's about learning all the skills, relearning all the skills in some cases. So not just stopping substances, but then working on your parenting skills and your healthy boundaries and codependency and relationships and uh, seeking and maintaining employment and housing and all the different things that come with it. So when women are in recovery, and that could be, somebody has been sober for 30 days or 60 days or 3 years, 30 years, like it's different kinds of numbers. But one of our board members says, for example, she's been in recovery for 40 years. So people from the outside might look at her and be like, wow, what a great success. And she's fine and she's cured and she's better. But she says, like, it's not really that. Like, you still wake up every morning and you still have your demons and you still might have your cravings, but you just have better coping skills and you've learned how to navigate those things and, yeah, how to deal with your feelings in different ways rather than using substances.
It sounds like the treatment of substance abuse and that process is really tied to the mental well-being and mental health.
Yes, yeah, especially in May, we're celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month. So a lot of our members, it's not just, as I said, so substance use doesn't happen in isolations, but it often is a coping mechanism dealing with depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar, any mental health things, conditions you might think of. So a lot of women don't unfortunately get the treatment that they would need, and then they can turn to substances as an alternative to actually getting the treatment services. So we're not often just working with helping somebody stop using substances, but we then, some of our members say, like, okay, when you stop drinking or when you stop using fentanyl, then all the sadness comes, all the grief, all the anxiety, all the feelings come, and then you have to learn how to cope with those feelings without using the substances. So that can be really, really hard, and it takes a lot of learning skills and coping skills how to navigate those things. So yeah, it's definitely tightly related. Mental health and substance use are very tightly related.
I am, I can see where it has all has to tie to, it all ties together. So it's not just a one size fits all plan that you're having to incorporate.
No, we offer very much individualized treatment plans. So it's whatever works with the individual. Some substance use treatment providers, especially in the past, have been kind of strict, like we have this one model, this works, just follow these things and you'll be cured,
Hmm.
quotation marks. But we really view recovery as a journey, and everybody has their own journey. So people can, use those kind of coping skills and different modalities that work with them. And we are very respectful of that. The Haven motto is recovery with respect. So we don't shove down one specific model to anybody, but it's very much you're on your own journey and we're here to support you.
This is fascinating. So we're going to take a quick break here and hear from our major sponsor, Tucson Electric Power. And when we come back, Lydia, I bet you have a couple questions already lined up.
Oh, I sure do. There's so much there. Thank you so much for all of that information. I look forward to our next questions.
It's important that Tucson Electric Power partner with agencies like Compass Affordable Housing to ensure the members of our community have access to the resources that they need. We understand that we're operating in an affordability crisis, and this is not something that can be solved alone. Together, we can achieve so much more.
We are very glad to open this next segment and want to give thanks to the segment sponsor, Pima County Short-Term Crisis Emergency Resource Grant. Emilia, thank you so much for all of the information that you shared. It sounds like Haven just has such a broad continuum of opportunities to serve the very broad spectrum of women who are in recovery at various stages and from various issues, and may come with already a set of coping mechanisms or other things. I wonder if you might be able to share with us, given that breadth and depth, how your agency might look to prioritize specific issues. So maybe those determinants that come surrounding the recovery that you discuss. So maybe workforce or nutrition or those kinds of different things. Are there certain aspects that that you tackle? there
Mhm.
at Haven?
Yeah, it's kind of the Maslow's hierarchy of things. So we start with food and shelter. Obviously, it's very hard to maintain recovery if you don't have food or if you don't have a safe and stable place to live. So we recently received some grant funding from the Pima County Health Department. It's some of the opioid settlement funds that were distributed across the country. So with that grant funding, we've been able to add a lot of transitional wraparound support, and that has been really amazing because we have been able to tackle all those social determinants of health. So not just substance use recovery, but all the other things. So with the grant funding, we're working with Compass Affordable Housing, doing some housing navigation services. We have Maria who comes on site 3 days a week, and she's our most popular guest or visitor, most popular thing we've implemented with this grant, really, because the housing navigation piece is so important. As I said, it's really hard to maintain recovery if you have if you don't have a safe place to live, or if you live in a neighborhood where somebody next door to you is using, or if your former drug dealer is living next door to you. It's really, really hard to maintain sobriety. So Maria and Compass Affordable Housing has been able to help our members to look for alternative housing options, apply for them, come up with saving strategies and things like that. So that has been really amazing. And we've been able to also work with some nutritional assistance through Compass Affordable Housing, which is really cool. And we already established last year an emergency food pantry for our intensive outpatient members. So in the residential program, everything is provided. Women stay in the campus, all the food is cooked there, all the meals are served there, they have all of their needs taken care of. But in the intensive outpatient program, we provide free housing for women if they don't have housing. And other than that, they're kind of more on their own, back to re-entering into society. So a lot of them have SNAP benefits, but lately a lot of members have been kicked off benefits. So even though they should have access to SNAP benefits, they don't. So our emergency food pantry is really important for the intensive outpatient and outpatient members. So we've been able to take kind of housing and food taken care of. And then we also, through this opioid settlement grant, we have partnered with DKA and they're doing employment services on sites. We have a nutritionist who comes twice a month and they talk about nutrition and helping people to read labels, cook nutritious meals, just understanding kind of like calorie intakes and just like trauma-informed nutritional education is what that's all about. And then we also try to connect women that even though they're at the Haven, they could be up to 90 days both in the residential program and intensive outpatient program, but that 90 days or 3 months goes pretty quickly. So we're really trying to connect them with other providers in the city or in the county. So whether they need more trauma services, more behavioral health services, they need services for their children, we're trying to connect them to other service providers so they have that sort of long-term case management community partnerships.
Wow, that's wonderful. And it sounds like one of the key aspects of that is a partners network and a group of alliance relationships that you have so that it can be smooth or smoother, at least for the women that you're serving. And you mentioned even it may be help for their children or maybe other dependents that they might have. So there's a ripple effect going on there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And with the grant, the Pima opioid grant, we've also been able to cover kids' daycare fees. So women can bring their young children into treatments when they come to Haven. It's very unique. We're the only provider who does that.
Yes.
But the kids have their own programming. So there's a daycare center where the kids go and women can then do their programming at the Haven. And lately, it's similar to the SNAP benefits. We're seeing people not getting their DES, their benefits. So we have been kind of picking up the bill and paying for those daycare fees so the kids can focus on their own, have their own programming while women focus on their substance use recovery at the Haven. So that's another, we're definitely trying to lower all the barriers that women might have, and children not having anybody who could take care of their children while they come to treatment is a huge barrier for women.
Sure.
76% of our members have minor children. So being able to have some extra funding and cover those daycare fees, for example, is really amazing.
That is a great benefit. And you're right. There are economic challenges happening all over the place, not just for the people that you're serving, but for the organizations themselves, as sometimes direct funding or just a ripple effect. And so being able to navigate that can be super overwhelming news. And the anxiety then increases, and then the level of abuse may increase too. So being able to jump in and relieve some of that, I'm sure, is music to not only your ears when you find the opportunity to do that or some funding,
Yeah.
but to your women that you serve.
Yeah. And with this, I keep on going back to this grant that we got from the Pima County Health Department because it was all about the transitional support that the women need. Like they need, a lot of the women need so much support. Like it's not just the, recovery, substance use recovery, but it is the housing, it is food, it is services for the children, it is physical health and other mental health needs. Like there's so many aspects. What I also love about your human development mindset that it's not just the housing, it's not just the one single thing that will like be the magic wand that fixes everything, but what people really need a lot of transitional support.
For sure. Carolyn, I think that's such a natural segue into maybe a deeper dive of the ecosystem impact.
I think you're right. So, Amelia, I'd love for you to give us just, as Lydia said, just go ahead and tell us, go a little deeper with how the work you're doing is actually developing the human development ecosystem. You mentioned the partnerships. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Wow. So that it really is the whole person. Like none of us exist in a like we have this one thing that defines us, right? Like,
Right.
and I think in social like just portrayal of substance use and addiction, we often get that like people who have a substance use disorder, they have chosen that path and it's their fault. And why do they, or people who are experiencing homelessness, like why can't they just get housed? So it's this kind of simplistic view that a lot of people who don't have personal experience or work in the field tend to have without taking into consideration that we are humans and we have a lot of things that impact us and we have to deal with. And when it comes to the women, we kind of think about it as that two generational aspect, that it's not just the women in front of us who we're helping to heal, but it is really their children and their family, their spouse, their parents, like whoever is around them. And we have a Native Ways program for Native and Indigenous women. And our Native Ways elder often says that when a woman heals, she heals 7 generations who came before her and 7 generations moving forward. And I love that concept that it is that sort of like very wide ripple effect. And we see it like just in the like short term, like when women leave the haven and they have permanent housing, they gain employment, they are not involved with the justice system anymore, they are not using emergency services anymore. Like that is kind of immediate saving for the community and it's an immediate improvement for the individual and their family. But then when it goes a bit deeper than that, it improves their children's well-being. So the children are maybe exit or never enter child welfare systems, and their children start attending school regularly, and they have family stability. The family has stability. So then that improves also the kids' educational chances and them like progressing in their lives, so they don't end up repeating the same cycles as their parents or grandparents have done. So it is like kind of like the immediate impact is already huge. But then when you start like, I was talking with one of our alumni who went through the Haven, and she was like, I never want to go back to the Haven. Like that was my rock bottom. I do not want to go back. I do not want my children to ever go there. And she went through, had employment, like just basic employment, was working in sales, and then went to get her real estate license, and then started her own real estate business. And now she's making like tens of millions in sales every year with her partner in real estate. And looking at her from the outside, you would never know that she had a substance use disorder, that she went through the Haven. Like you could never tell that from the outside. She's a successful businesswoman. So I think it's also that sort of like community impact that it has, that she and her family, they're doing well and they are contributing to our economy. And they are, they're at the highest level of Maslow's hierarchy. Like it's the self-actualization, it's following your dreams, and it's like all the things. So it's pretty magnificent when you look at the long-term impact that substance use recovery and the Haven can have on the community.
I think
I
you
love
said
it.
something really interesting. If you don't mind, Carolyn, may I highlight it really quickly, is that who you touch, and over the 56 years, there are massive amounts of success stories as well as challenging stories, I imagine. And the discretion and privacy and confidentiality that the Haven maintains, I think, is a really important factor in the whole ecosystem because it's a trust factor. And that's a great way that stories can be shared without revealing who and how come. and people get to choose on their own whether they want to share the details of their path with others, but they are great role models for others who may say it's impossible to do this. No, it's not. But everybody's got their different challenges. So thanks for sharing that. That's really motivating.
Yeah, we Haven turned 55 years last year, and we were trying to collect 55 stories about the Haven, kind of to celebrate the milestone. We missed the 50th anniversary because of the pandemic, so we wanted to turn the 55th anniversary into a big deal. And it was just hearing the stories from the alumni. Like as I said, looking from the outside, you could never tell from some of these women that they had ever had the challenges. And then I think it's really motivating for our current members also to hear from somebody who's like, I was in your shoes. Like, you might not believe it, but I've been there. I've gone through what you've gone through, and you can get through it. So that is super inspiring and motivating. Sorry, it makes me tear up a tiny bit because I'm just like, these women they're so courageous and just so inspirational.
They really are. And so are you.
Oh, thank you.
I think those stories are really what makes a difference and are encouraging, as you said. It's a great example of, thank you for sharing that. It's a great example about how we build a ecosystem that does continue to ripple beyond just the immediate impact. We're going to take a quick break right here and hear from one of our segment sponsors, Tucson Osteopathic Medical Foundation.
Annually, we give to local organizations who are running programs and making great strides in what we call the social determinants of health. It's incredible the work that they're doing, and we're just really proud to be a part of it.
And once again, we want to thank our major sponsor of the Compass Ecosystem podcast, Tucson Electric Power. Emelia, I want to thank you again for sharing so much. I know that these episodes really are just the tip of an iceberg of what an organization does and how the people and the mission really play a role in a bigger ecosystem. And what you shared about women's journeys and their success rates and the ripple effect that has, particularly you talked about 7 generations before and 7 generations going forward. I think that describes an awful lot. So for people all around Southern Arizona, whether they lead organizations or they are individuals, or maybe they've experienced some of these challenges, how, if they are in need of your services or just want to learn more about how they can help make it a success, how can they get involved with the Haven?
You can visit our website. It's called thehaventucson.org, and we have a section for all the success stories, for example, that I mentioned. So if people just want to feel good about life, they can see some of those success stories and videos on our website. And then just find more information about our programming in general. And if there is somebody who's looking for services, people can call themselves or send a message themselves. We don't have to get a referral from a different organization. So we get often calls from family members, parents, siblings. Yeah, so anybody can call to the Haven to get more information. And the phone number for our admissions team is 520-300-5243. So that's the number to call if you have any questions or just want to hear more get more information about the services. You can do that. And when it comes to fundraising, we are a nonprofit organization. We accept in-kind donations. So if anybody has hygiene items, clothing, kitchen appliances, or kitchen, plates and cups and things like that, or our housing, or any kind of things that would kind of help with the self-actualization piece. So books, puzzles, arts and craft supplies, anything like that, board games, we gladly accept those as well.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. And Carolyn, I think you might agree with this because of how much we are interactive out in community, that those extra items that are activity oriented and learning oriented, it might be books, it might be new or gently used games, like you said, or things that just might help with concentration, with learning, and just enjoyment of other people. That can make a big difference to everyone. It is what I'm hearing you say as you describe.
Yeah, we're always looking for sober fun because that's really important. A lot of the women they kind of need help with figuring out what is sober fun. So board games, DVDs, books, art and craft. A lot of the women pick up some kind of like, knitting or things like that when they're at the Haven. Diamond art is very popular. Anything that sparkles and is glittery is very popular as well. And I think it helps with the self-esteem part as well. So just, to feel good in your skin again. That's great. So that's why we provide women all the hygiene items. And we unfortunately don't provide makeup, but I wish we had a partnership and we'd get like makeup donated too, because just the fact of like doing your hair and putting on some makeup can really make a huge impact on just feeling good about yourself again. So, and it's really beautiful. We the Haven symbol is butterfly, and it represents the metamorphosis that women go through, and we see that. We really truly see that in our program when women first arrive and they looked, they're feeling pretty sick and they look pretty rough in a lot of cases. And then just within a couple of weeks of being at the Haven, they start like standing taller, smiling, making eye contact, fixing their hair, putting on their makeup, putting on that red lipstick. And it makes such a big difference of people just feeling good again and looking good and feeling good. So it's a big metamorphosis that we see.
What a great note to end on.
I really appreciate you sharing this, Amelia. It's so important, the work that you are doing. And just to recap, if anyone would like to reach out to the Haven, could you please give that website and your phone number one last time before we sign off?
Yes, the website is thehaventucson.org, and our phone number is 520-300-5243.
I thank everyone, especially my guest Emelia, my co-host Lydia, for being a part of today's podcast. It's really important that we talk about how people can participate in our human development ecosystem, and that we share honestly what is happening within the mental health wellness arena, especially for women recovering as well as rebuilding their lives. As always, you can learn more by visiting our website at www.compassaffordablehousing.org. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you all next week.